Morning, ma'am.
Yes, good morning, ladies.
So these are questions. So, what made you choose social work as a profession?
Actually, when I graduated in high school, my first course that I was taking of was Bachelor of Science in Commerce. So I decided to pursue my study, taking a Bachelor of Science in Social Work in the year 2014 because that time I was already in the SWD, na-employed ako sa DSWD. Then I realized after having oriented with the programs and services in the DSWD, na-realize na kung hala social work na ano dito sa field. So kulang lang na ako theories, kulang na lang na ako lectures sa magiging ang social work. So that opted me to take a Bachelor of Science in Social Work in BALC sa inyong school.
Next, how long have you been social work?
Actually, sa akong giingon sa first question, my first profession, my first course was Bachelor of Science in Commerce. Unya, mao gid na ang ako educational background when I applied DSWD. So, that time, being in the DSWD, makonsider na to nga parang professional na to because I am practicing social work services, social work profession, but I am not a social worker. So, consider na siya nga para professional to. Practice ko, pero di ko social worker. So, 15 years. 15 years nga para professional, and then being registered social worker about 4 years that time, dili pa man ko social worker. So I consider myself practicing social work profession, but I am not a social worker. So para professional ang tawagan. So I am para professional for 15 years. Kay nag-start pa man ko sa LGU and non-government organization because 15 years ko, but kanang 15 years 4 years na group work because I was connected with an NGO niya nag-organize ko of group people's organization. So that mo na siya ang group work. Then ang 11 years was community organizing because I was involved with the Kalahi Seeds KPP project of the DSWD. So that is community organizing 11 years. But since nga nahimo na ko nga registered social worker, I am working with individual families and individuals. So that's case work. So overall, 21 years na ko.
Next, have you been public throughout those years working as a social worker?
In public or private? Yes. Public, when I was in LZU and the SWD, mga na siya ang mga public agencies na ako ang na-involve ko. Then, for the private, katong non-government organization, and nag-organize ko sa kagrupo na 4 years.
Can you give us a general description of what are your programs and services in your agency?
Okay, generally, DSWD, the programs and services under DSWD, mauna siya, matawag na siya nga social welfare services because DSWD is the primary welfare agency of the Philippine government. Its programs and services are all for poor, vulnerable, and disadvantaged. All geared towards the fulfillment of the DSWD's vision. So the DSWD's vision is for all Filipinos free from hunger and poverty, have equal access to opportunities, able by a fair, just, and peaceful society. So mga tanan ang programs and services sa DSWD, maugin na siya ang paingnan tanan na ma-fulfill ang goal or ang vision sa agency.
Next question. You have now told us your programs and services. We are curious on what happens in a usual day of social worker who works. Can you share it to us?
Working in the SWD is honestly stressful. Stressful yun na siya because we are working with people who have different kanabitang problems.
Among the program and services you have handled, what among them is the most interesting to you and why?
the most interesting of the services, programs and services that I have handled. Siguro ang very recent lang siguro ang akong i-point out. Ang atong pag-serve sa mga SAP beneficiaries, mga clients nato. Kato kita mostly affected, di ba? We are all aware na naatay COVID-19 pandemic. So, ang DSWD was tasked to distribute sa katong social amelioration program na para sa mga affected yun, mostly affected with the pandemic. So, very challenging to handle kay mga clients nato, mga beneficiaries sa social amelioration program nato. Very traumatic considering na greatly affected din sila sa pandemic. So, dili taga-blame nga some of them mga irritable, mga anak, no? So, very challenging yun sa pag-handle na para masatisfy sila kay considering nga ang sapod nato dili ay po para sa tanan. So, kinahanglan pa namon sa assess kunya kanang sa pag-assess nimo kanang tao mo claim mo affected sila. So, pasiguan na to ang budget, pasiguan na to ang number of kanang beneficiaries na ato arang i-cater na sa isa ka lugar. So, grabe yun kaayo ang kuan sa mga tao. Kaya kalit, first time na gud din nato nga natay mo na anak nga kanang situation. So, murag di naka-blame sa mga tao nga grabe din po sila ka. Pero tapos, di ka kasabot sa ato mga feelings kasi mga anak sila ka-affected. Isang galing kami nga mga workers affected, greatly affected kaya kung sumunang gahandang ka sa ilang stressful situation, mas amo apa nga amo ang own stressful nga feelings sa mga workers, so mga difficult kayo. But at the end of the day, kung makuha na, kung successful ang activity, nahatag na to assistance to the right person or sa right yun ng mga beneficiaries, still ka nang very fulfilling.
Next, did you ever experience handling a difficult program, situation, or clients? How were you able to manage it?
So, as I said, ang pinaka-recent lang, doon na aming gihapon tayo mga difficult situations dealing with our Kantawid beneficiaries. Because may mga time na buwan-buwan, physical sila yun. Considering they are vulnerable. Speaking of experience handling difficult programs, ang Pantawid program, difficult yan kinakahandle because ang ato ang mga Pantawid beneficiaries, lahi-lahi ilang mga problema, lahi-lahi ilang mga sitwasyon. So, considering ang ato ang caseload, ako sa ato ang municipal link din kunya, I am dealing with 700 plus beneficiaries, families. So, difficult kayo i-handle. But aside from that, ako nga kung balikon mong pinaka-recent na ito nga sa beneficiaries, very difficult na i-handle. Tungkol kay sa ako ni Ingon, stressful, traumatic. Itang tanan affected na yun. Yan, talit kayo. Kahit tayo nawala ka ng trabaho. Tanan na ito sa mga kanang lifestyle na stuck up yun. Tungkol sa pandemic.
It is an inevitable scenario for clients to cry while you are helping them. Was there a time where you got emotionally affected too?
So, speaking of emotion, human as we are, madala kita. Okay, di ba? Kung may mag-relax sa mga tubangan, alangan po positive katawa. Kung may masuko, alangan po muharang yun na yagaan. So, nakagyud, kumbaga, ang imong emotion, dalang yun ka usahay. But, kanon na lang yun na ito, hinuon nga guys, one of the principles of social work, no emotional involvement. Bisan pag nadala na ka sa iyahang buol, nadala na ka sa iyahang suko, dili ginadi mo ipakita sa client. Kinahanglan kanyang gini mo as social worker, ari ra gyud ka sa neutral side. Kung suko siya, pasok alam man gyud po siya. Ayaw pud na nga imuhag yung ipak, ipagkasuko kay kanang kuan. Dili man gyud kay right na iyang masuko, right na iyang mag-all, right na iyang malipay. So, dapat i-respeto nato kung unsay feeling sa ato ang client. So, ang pangutana is nabay time nga nadala ko sa emotion na agyo deep inside.
How did you overcome not being too emotionally when handling a client?
Alright, how did I overcome? O ito akong giingon na guide lang gid na to ang atong principle. Being a social worker, no emotional involvement. Dapat kuan gid ka. Ang ato ara gyud stick to the goal nga i-resolve na ang problema sa imong client, dili ang atong own problem. So tungo nang control emotion gyud dapat to social worker.
Worldwide, we have been stuck with COVID. In your point of view, did social welfare evolve during the pandemic? How?
Okay. Na-mention na to sa previous question regarding COVID, no? So, um, kung mangutan ta kung naabay social welfare services, yes! Grabe kayo itong social services ni Absamot, no? Ang social services natin ito sa mga tao tungod sa kagrabe sa epekto sa pandemic. So, kanang number one na gito ang distribution sa social amelioration program services na siya ato sa mga affected niya ang mga tao nga ato ang gihatagan sa services mo ta kung giingon nga irritable mga traumatic kay tungod sa nahitabo sa tungod sa situation. So during COVID-19 pandemic mas minlakad ang ato ang paghatag ng social services sa mga tao.
At this point, after years of working, can you say that you are now satisfied or have fulfilled your purpose as a social worker? And what made you say so?
For me, being ilan naman ko ka-years, no? I have been more than 6 years in the SWD. So, with that years, makainjud ko nga kuan ako satisfied na ko because nahatagan na-exercise na ako ang akong role being a social worker ato sa ako ang mga clients na ako ang i-handle. But lahi na siguro na may kang satisfied or fulfilled. For me, dili pa ko fulfilled because I am still aspiring na makatabang ko og mode o mga lain pa ng mga workers. So I am aspiring to teach para makatabang ko nga naapatay daghan nga mga mahimong social worker na kana kitang makasabot sa feelings mo respeto sa work and dignity of person. So nag-aspire pa ko na sa manan, I can say na dili pa dito fulfill because naapa ko mga aspirations. But in terms of giving services, satisfied because niyata naman ako ang best unya guided by our principal as social worker nakatag na ako sa mga clients. So satisfied na but not yet fulfilled.
Next, this question is a little personal, but was there ever a time that you wanted to quit being a social worker?
No, never. I love this kind of profession because for me, mao gid ang pinaka-noble profession because kung tanaw na to no walay laing profession nga ang value lang gid ang core value nga ginatanaw is the respect of the worth, the inherent worth and dignity of a person. So no other profession na makaingon ana nga ato agin ginalantaw sa ato ang pag-serve wala ta nagtan-aw kung unsa ang estado sa tao kung dili girespeto gid nato whoever or whatever ang ato ang client. So respect the work, the inherent worth and dignity of a person.
From college life to a registered social worker, what were the differences you observed or felt? What social worker is an actual practice?
So, as I've said sa previous but nato nga questions, I started in the SWD, dili ko man ko social worker. So, dili gid na ako paingon nga na I difference sa college life because I choose to kanang pursue my study in Bachelor of Science in Social Work. Daan mo ko nga naa sa field. So, na-practice na ako. So, dili ko makaingon nga sa college, unlike sa inyo ha, kaya diba, nag-college mo, wala ka din po sa, wala pa mo sa field, wala pa mo yung actual na practice. So, siguro, kung ingon anang akong situation, ma-differentiate na ako. But sa ako, anong gun kay, nag-start ko, nag-eskwela ko sa social work, kaya mo ko daan experience. So, dili na ako makita ang difference. So, mas nasabtan ang yun mo ako.
With all your work experiences, for you, what makes a good social worker?
What makes a good social worker? Makaingon na gid ka nga maayo ka, you are a good social worker when you can change kanang perspective sa clients. Karang perspective nila sa life. For example, sa Pantawid program, ang ginahandle karon sa Pantawid program. So, dito ang panglantaw nila sa ilang kinabuhi na ma-change mo. Bisan man lang na dili mo na totally na change din mo. Ba't na kayo nakita na changes? So, ma-consider na yun mo nga you are an effective or good social worker. For example, anak kong mo, no, may mga family na ang ilan lang yung measurement sa happiness. For example, nasa may kwarta ka mga abot, happy na kayo sila, anang mahubog sila, makasugal, yan ang bitaw. So, murag, ang panandalian bitaw na happiness, murag yung ilahang paglantaw ba kung ma-change mo yung ilang perspective na ang longer bitaw na happiness, ang ilang longer effect sa ilang mga actions, muna yung makita nila. So, for example, sa una, makakapagpagpagpagpag sila kwarta, na yung bubog-bubog, may sugal, kay mura to yung kuan nga, matungapod sila, but this time, ang ilang kwarta, ilang nagyugyat ko sa ilang mga anak, para kapag-eskwela, para umadan lang, mapahuman lang anak, pinagkakatog sila o arang-arang. So, muna yung ato adyong measurement na ito, makaingon ka na effective na dito ng social worker or good social worker at pagka-change sa usa ka sa pinabuhi or sa panglantaw sa ato ang mga tayo.
Last question. What message or tips you can give for us inspiring social workers?
Okay, being grabe na akong experience sa advice sa inyo nga is continue lang po. Continue your dream. Meron niya, be a social worker. Because there is no other profession as noble as social worker. So, ano lang yan? Very noble. Mas masabtan ninyo ang course, masabtan ninyo ang essence or ang value or value sa social worker. So, continue on your see you in your graduation. See you in your graduation again.
This is my question. What made you choose social work as a profession?
Pagsugod yun, murag nahog ni siya nga no choice. Kay ang taga Leyte man ko, and then may social work eskwelahan dito nga libre, wala bayad. So kanang dili man jud akong dream nga profession kay engineering or accountancy ang ako. But tungod kay murag mo'y kanang maabot ra available. So nahong ni siya nga murag ko'y option, wala yung option di. Actually pag enroll na ko ani kay na may 4 courses atong school. And then public ad unta to. Kay murag di man gud siya familiar. So public ad unta to, but public ad kay na full naman. So no to. I chose the profession without knowing unsa ni siya.
So next is, how long have you been a social worker?
7 years. 7 years? Since 2013 man ko. 8 years na siguro.
Next, have you been a public or private?
Private ko since na social worker ko.
Can you give us a general description of what are your programs and services in your agency?
There's a lot of programs and services, but we focus on educational service, educational support sa mga deaf. So we provide we are community-based man and then we provide like dormitory care. We provide meals nila libre, 3 times a day. Uh, but the students will stay in the dorm for muuli ra sila weekly, and then we provide the transpo, and we also provide the educational supplies, materials, case to case basis. Pero karon since COVID, so wala sila wala sila sa school, so nasa silang balay. But we support the teacher. We provide printers, and we also provide the transportation sa parents nga magkuha sa module, and some we gave tablets sa mga schools, and then we also gave SD cards to those no kanang na cellphone pero dili enough ang kuan para to na nila ma-learn kay visual man among ang deaf is visual, so kinahanglan nila og aside sa module kinahanglan og na sila makita na video nga naay mag-sign mag-teach kay lisod kay maglisod na gani sila sa face to face kung papel ra or wordings lang ang basihan walay sign. So mo na sa pagkakaron bat normally kung wala pa ng COVID, so ang amo ang services is naka-focus education, trainings, sa livelihood, in high school. Kaya we are working side by side with Bohol Deaf Academy. Our elementary students will be enrolled at Bohol Deaf Academy in high school. And then ang Bohol Deaf Academy na sila trainings, vocational trainings like housekeeping, carpentry, welding, so and others nga mga vocational nga pwede possible nga pwede magamit sa mga bata once nga mga apply sila trabaho. Kaya among goal ani is self-reliance man, ma-independent sila once mahuman sila sa eskwela.
You have now told us your programs and services. We are curious on what happened in a usual day of social worker who works in. Can you share it to us?
Among students is na-enrolled na ami 4 ka SPED nga supported nga schools Luon, Sabayan, Talibon ug Hagna. So 4 elementary. So kanang we also have high school nga students na na-enroll sa Bohol Deaf Academy. So usually sa normal dili sa karon nga time sa new normal, sa old normal is ang akong trabaho usually jud kaning namo ko sa office, no? So kanang maganda mi og school and dorm visit kay naman mi dormitory sa upat ka elementary nga supported nga SPED. So mag-conduct og dorm visit and school dorm and school visit. So mag-observe, mag-monitor sa performance and sa behavior sa bata ug na improvement. And then syempre main trabaho maghimo kay study. Also aside sa ako ang trabaho sa main jud nga sa idea kaning sa education sa mga bata, sometimes ma-involve ko aning sa mga co-workers ug nay mga problema sa ipatawag or mag-interpret, mahimo sa tag interpreter sa hay mahog nga murag daghan kang trabaho. Siyempre if as a social worker murag dapat flexible ka, no? And then sa usual is nasa office nya kanang mag school visit, and then napog koy also I am involved karon sa kanang nami gisugdan nga business nga kaning sewing kanang part pod og training sa potential nga bata nga na skill sa sewing. For future na pod kung mo kuan siya, kung mo develop siya.
So, among the programs and services you have handled, what among them is the most interesting to you and why?
The most interesting is kaning sa kuan, sa paghandle sa mga bata. Kanang marag nindot man gud tan-awon kung like kining mga bata nga zero enroll nila like prep zero sign pa na, and then wala pa nakaila sa ilang self, wala pa kaila sa ilang ngan, di pa ka masuwat. So murag fulfilling pud nimo nga as they grow, murag naka-learn na sila mo sign, mauna mo introduce sa ilang self, and then mauna mo ihap, then more vocabulary ka ma-learn nila. Murag ingana ba niya ma-develop na ang ilahang like ilang behavior, murag ka mauna mo control. Like murag interesting na siya nga part ka sa pag-develop sa bata sa iyang self.
So, did you ever experience handling a difficult program, situation, or client? How were you able to manage it?
Tanan mo siguro nun mo na difficulties nga challenges nga ma-encounter like handling parents. So syempre sa amo ang programs and services, we are in partnership with kaning parents jud na jud may intense nga partnership because dili man may orphanage nga kuan, we are community based man. Ang mga parents sahay murag dili supportive sa anak, sa frustrating kaayo ng kanang sila pa hinuon ang gusto nga mo undang ilang anak kay murag hasulan sila nga muskwila bitaw nga ingana niya. Siyempre naman po counterpart ang parents kay we want nga kanang dili pud sila wantan sa ilang responsibility as parents. So mo hatag sila og like rice, like share nila sa kaon nila, like rice for 4 kilos of rice for 1 month example, or no 2 kilos per week pa ng ilahang kuan, ilahang counterpart. And then we also ask them to kaning share og 200 pesos for door maintenance, kanara 200 pesos kay for mga electricity ana. Usahay dili gyud makasabot mi sa uban nga kaning naglisod gyud, but kaning time nga kanang bitong sila mismo ang magpaundang na sa ilang decide nga paundangon na kay atura sa balay kay pabantayon og bata ana ba, dili supportive. But was able to handle daghan ang po kung na-handle niya nga parents, but kanang dili ra pod nila i-continue og paundang kay kanang like ingon nako nga sige kanang siyempre introduce nimo nga naibalaod nga dapat pa eskwela na ngay right sa bata ang makaskwela, labi na kay kanang sa mga children with disabilities. So ingana ra ni-handle nimo walang imong i-orient sila child's right nga makaskwela nya. Murag napoy pa konsensya effect inig interview ni inig istorya nimo nga kanang pag-unsa man ni sila og mga wa na mo nya, sure mo nga mo-support ang mga igsuon na ni nga yun. Siyempre ilam ng rights pod. So imong i-orient sila sa balaod. Yan.
So, it is an inevitable scenario for clients to cry while are helping them. There a time where you got emotional affected too?
So far kay murag wala man ko niagi nga nga murag na emotional sa during jud sa kanang paghandle na sa client kay hinahinuon kanang time nga maka-realize ka pero after na sa kuan ba maluoy ka inig ka or maka-relate ka sa iyang story yan inig after na sa inyong encounter. Pero so far kanang wala mapud ko emotional nga murag na get affected ko sa kuan. Wala mapud.
How did you overcome not being too emotional when handling a clients?
Kay kuan murag mostly kay sa among client kay they're deaf, all are kanang sani deaf man sila tanan, and then murag na used to naman good ka. Or I just keep myself strong kay daghan pa sila dili ra kay kani. Yan na.
Worldwide, we have been stuck with COVID. In your point of view, did social welfare involve during the pandemic? How?
Of course. Number one, ang social welfare kay samot na karon. Like karon sa amo ang hatag na pud mig fifth wave sa relief. We're trying our best and look for some resources nga makatabang mi for kaning relief operation. So naa mi karon sa amo ika fifth wave. So
after a few years of working, what are the things that you still wish to accomplish as a social worker?
Man jud ko mo proceed og master's degree and ma-develop pa more ang self og how I handle clients og ma-develop pa ang akong career.
So this questions is little personal, but was there ever a time that you wanted to quit being a social worker?
Many times kay siyempre sa high mabombarded ka or mapuno ka man ako first job until ka napaghapon ko, so daghang times nga ganahan ko ma-try og other field, but sa high kay kanang ma-inspire pug kog balik makakita kog bata nga na inspire pug kog balik di na lang na.
Manage life to registered social worker, what were the differences you observed or felt? What social work is an actual practice?
From theories to practice. So lahi ra kay sa student pa ta more on theories man no. Yan. It's really different in actual kay you need to think always unsay mga theories nga imong naibaw-an, apply it sa imong practice. Makaingon ko nga different lang tungod kay mura ma-focus on like result based bitaw like mo na imong goal for this client or mo na both ninyong goal kay siyempre you're working together. So but in implementing the activity, the programs or the programs and services, ma-apply po nimo ang mga theories nga imong na-learn sa school. Ano siya? Naagoy interconnection.
With all your work experience, for you, what makes a good social worker?
Flexible. Kay in social work, mag-involve dyan na siya mga tough decisions sa imong sa implementation, sa pagsuod pa lang sa client, kung angay ba ni siya sa unsay programs and services nga fit niya. So in all the works you do, it involves kanang decisions. So you have to be smart and flexible ka sa trabaho o sa imong katrabaho sa environment, and flexible po ka sa imong client nga kay lahi-lahi man we have kaning different and unique nga client, so dili dapat pareha po nimong approach, so depende sa klase sa client. And then also i-maintain imong be humble, and importantly you have to have a initiative kanang dili ka kay maghuwat ra ka ingnon, so unsa imong makita nga kuwang dapat mo initiate pud ka. So, yun na siya.
So, last question. What message or tips you give for us aspiring as social worker?
Aim high sa inyong practice. Keep going kung ganahan mo. So, you have to have a kanang passion jud nga mutabang. If ganahan mo nga magpadato or dili mo dapat ani nga field kay we are here to help the client help himself or herself. So kanang once you are in the kuana in the field or in your practice, so always remember nga sa tanan ninyong activities you have to keep detailed nga records kay tanawon po na like karon yung mga pagsud sa client is gamay pa and then aton mo dako na nya kanang nakay ma-recall ba sa imong process nga ginabuhat sa challenges ninyo sa both ninyo sa client ko sa challenges ninyo pag-achieve sa inyong sa ni goal nya ang helping process mo nang natay ki study kay para ma-record na to unsay atong actions nga ginawa unsay actions nga atong ginahimo while in achieving our goal. So of course always remember nga to take care of yourself kung bugat na pero daghan na kag client nga na encounter karon nya murag kapoy na ka, you have to take rest dili kay ako nimo kay tawra baya ta we have kaning limit pod. So para you always remember nga to take care of your mental health kay sig mabuang na pugkag sa kadaghan nimong giatubang nya kanang di ka mohundang. So mo take rest pud ta sometimes. That's it.
Thank you, ma'am.
Sige.
The Bachelor of Science in Social Work, while Miss Kambiging has no choice. Mrs. Jimena is 21 years working in the field, while Miss Kamiging is 7 years. Mrs. Jimena had been in public and private throughout those years, while Miss Kamiging private since she starts working. Mrs. Jimena said, in this WD, the program and service are for poor, vulnerable, and disadvantaged, all geared toward the fulfillment of this WD vision. While Miss Kamiging in IDEA Philippines focus on the educational support for the deaf children. Mrs. Jimena usual day in this WD is very stressful, working with people with different problems, while Miss Kamiging conduct dorm visit. They also conduct performance and behavior of the child, and she is also involved with her co-workers as a interpreter. Mrs. Jimena is interested to serve the SAC beneficiaries during this pandemic, while Miss Kamiging is interested in handling children. They are both handling difficult program, but Miss Kamiging managed by telling or orienting the parents about the child's law. They are both emotionally affected while helping the clients. Overcoming not being too emotional is to control emotion and just keep yourself strong. Social welfare evolved during this pandemic, and the social welfare tried their best to help by giving some relief goods to the people. Mrs. Jimena is satisfied but not fulfilled and still aspiring to help the clients. Miss Camiging still wished to accomplish her master's degree and develop more to handle the clients. Mrs. Jimena never think of quitting her job, but Miss Camiging think many times in quitting her job. Mrs. Jimena said that there are no difference because when she pursued to this course, she's already in the field of this WD. While Miss Camiging said, yes, there is a difference because when a college students, the topics are more in theories, very different in actual. For Mrs. Jimena, to be a good social worker is when you can change the perspective of the client's life. While Miss Camiging is to be flexible, serving the clients. Mrs. Jimena aspiring tips is to continue and be social worker. No other profession that is noble. Miss Camiging aspiring tips is to aim high and keep going. Always remember, when you're tired, just get rest. Thank you.
So, after interview both private and a public social worker, what can I say is social worker is a profession, Jude, and it's important to the people, especially the fifth community, like Mom Jean said, and they do their best to help to learn the clients, even if they're tired and stressed, but they don't mind it because they want to help others. And after interview with Mom Jean, I realized that enjoy the life of social worker, help what clients want, and also social welfare involves during today's pandemic. And social worker tried their best to help by giving relief, like Mom Jimena said. And after interview for the public social worker, I realized that never think to quit our job or in your job in helping our clients so that we succeed in our profession. But ato ang goal naman jud is a social worker to help and maka-inspire ng jud sila, ma'am, and I hope as the social worker ma-learn